Okay, clerk will call the roll.
Senator Pillion. Senator McPike.
Here.
Senator Eben. Senator Marsden.
Here.
Senator Servo.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mike. Do we have a sign-up? Told Sickles. Sickles here yet? No Sickles. All right. All right, first I got, let's see, Watts, Green, Cousins, Ballard. So, Senator Watts, Delegate Watts, my bad.
Presenting HB 125. HB 125 deals with the amount paid to special justices and any evaluator who are involved in the mental hearings for TDOs. The fees were last increased in 1998. And the reason that I am before you this year is that last year in Fairfax, with over 1 million people, the fees were so low that we could only get 4 defense attorneys who would work with these hearings. And I heard almost immediately from the special justices and from the evaluators of the amount of hours that it takes to adequately represent individuals who are being considered for a commitment. So I hope that it'll be the pleasure of the subcommittee to report.
Thank you, Delegate. I think you all included, I think, $2.1 million in your budget for this. I don't think there's anything in the Senate budget, but I'm very aware of the problem you've talked about practicing in Fairfax County. I think there was a sense to get this, in proper posture. We might cut the proposed fee increases in half. You have a sense of that?
I only wanted to just pass on, and you're the experts in the budget, but it was passed on to me that the Department of Planning and Budget is authorized to transfer appropriations from the criminal fund and the involuntary mental commitment fund as the funds are needed to meet the cost of the program. So I'm assuming that this would be the source of funding.
Okay. I'm sure that could be talked about by the conferees in conference. Does anybody have a motion?
Move to report. Second.
No. But as I said, it's a sub. It's a sub. You had, okay, staff prepared a sub then, I'm sorry.
Second.
Okay, McPike moves, Marsden second. Okay, and move the amendments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay. I think the amendments, Delegate, cut the numbers in half all the way down.
I will hear from some special justices.
Okay.
Move
Great.
the report is amended.
Okay. Then moved and seconded that we report the bill as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Sickles.
Yes, sir.
I had a text from your staff that you're desperate to be some.
Thank you, sir. Got to be at your other subcommittee, but I just have a cognate of Senator Van Valkenburg's ERIC bill, putting us back in ERIC. The only thing that I would say about this is we put a $200,000 tag on it, and it was only $37,000 when we were in it. So I don't know. It's not going to cost $200,000.
Right, but this is identical, right?
Yep, it's identical.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Delegate Sickles? Okay. Right.
It is.
Yep. Here's your motion.
Move the report. Second.
Move the second.
Thank
The
you.
bill be reported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed?
Thank you
No.
very much. Appreciate it.
See you later. Okay, next up I got Delegate Green. Doug Green's your first visit to General Government Sub. What's your favorite football team?
Alabama Crimson Tide. Roll Tide. Scoring points
Only
on-
JMU Dukes in this room.
scoring points on that one there. Anyway, good morning. Dave, you have before you a cognate bill that reported from the Courts of Justice, Finance, and Appropriations, ultimately the Senate floor. The bill provides that time shall not be a barrier to a victim of sexual assault that can claim funds awarded to them under the criminal justice compensation funds. The House substitute established instead of simple sexual assault that amounts to a felony, the new version includes all sexual assaults. For some clarification, under the current law, there's nothing that prevents a victim from being awarded beyond their 28th birthday under the current law. However, the burden of proof is on the victim to explain why they waited the 10 years to claim. As we continue to learn about these types of cases, we understand some victims it takes time to grapple with and confront these events, and it may take beyond 10 years. This bill would address that situation. Finally, the Criminal Justice Compensation Fund is a non-general fund funded source. It's funded by when people are convicted, they pay into the fund. However, if there is a fiscal impact to it, I've submitted a budget placeholder. From my understanding, there's some folks here that might be able to answer specific questions. Currently, the fund has between $13 million and $18 million in it. There are roughly 12 people a year who would be eligible to take a claim on that, which if they're maxed out at $35,000, max on that claim would be about $400,000 a year.
We have this bill on the floor in the Senate right now. It's actually on the floor for your amendments back on our bill. Take 5 for the 2 days we're going to figure this out. I think essentially we're going to put it in Congress to try to get a sense of whether allowing people to file all the way from, instead of at age 28 all the way up till when they die, might drain the fund. So we need to get into that data, but I don't think we have time this morning to do it. So I think the sense of the committee was to conform to the Senate bill and then continue the conversation as we go. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We conform the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. Now the bill's identical to the bill we reported by Senator French. Is there a motion? It's been moved and seconded. We report the bill. All those in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed, no. Nobody's opposed. So we'll see you in conference. We'll figure it
Thank
out
you.
there. But
Looking forward to it.
tell the people you're working with that we need to get the information, the data you talked about.
We'll have good data.
Okay, thanks. Next up, I've got Delegate Cousins, House Bill 824. Cousins here? No Cousins. Okay, then I got Ballard, 306. Public Defender's caseload exception.
Morning, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
Go
we just heard
Dukes.
this in courts the other day. This is what allows the PD to defer a case if they think they're too busy.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. So there's no substantive change to this piece of legislation. It's clarifying a provision in the code that essentially talks about the public defender's office when they go into court. If they say they have a conflict of interest because their caseload precludes representation, this then clarifies in the statute that that would actually be means of where the court could appoint separate counsel.
Right, so the only impact here is if the PD says we're too busy to take a case, they're referred to outside counsel, there's going to be some additional court-appointed attorney fees that are paid because of that, right?
That's right, Mr. Chairman.
And there's nobody's been able to figure out what that might cost, right?
Correct. Because
Okay.
we just don't know how many cases that would be.
Okay. I think the chair and staff felt like there's a risk we could probably absorb their existing resources.
Mr. Chairman, question for you.
Yeah.
You know, there's a limited amount of money, obviously, in that fund, so when that's exhausted, you know, that's what sets the limit on how much we can spend, right?
Isn't there's a waiver fund, but the underlying fund, does that have a cap on it? No.
It does
Right,
not. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, just the waivers. So only some attorneys might not be able to get the waiver, but they'll be able to get the first crappy slug of money, like $120 for a misdemeanor, whatever it is, $300 for a minor felony, $500 for a major felony. So, okay, it's been moved and seconded to report the bill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
All right, you're
members
all
of the
done.
committee.
Yep. Okay, next up,
Happy committee this morning.
got Delegate Helmer, 151.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning,
Yep,
members. of the committee.
technical assistance for energy and buildings. Yeah.
This is the cognate of Senate Bill 245 by Senator McPike. Seems to have picked up some, become more partisan in the Senate than it was in the House. It's simply an opt-in to resiliency and clean energy features that reduce costs and a request of localities to evaluate those costs before not implementing those
Right.
features. It shouldn't have a fiscal impact. It does not
Bill's
have a fiscal impact.
Identical to the bill we already passed, right?
It is identical.
Okay. Been moved and seconded, we report the bill. All those in favor say aye. 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 Nobody's opposed? Nope. Okay.
Thank you.
See you, Delegate. All right. Next up, I got Wilt Thomas Spencer. So Wilt, 1014.
Did you say me?
Oh, he's two? No, 1014.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Go Dukes.
That's right.
Mr. Chairman, and committee members, before you, House Bill 1014 establishes a public defender's office in Harrisonburg, Rockingham County. The idea was brought to me by a lot of interest back home, and so, just didn't take their word for it. The Indigent Defense Commission did a lot of work in pulling together data and proved that it needs to be established there, and it's bipartisan support back home. I mean, on both sides of the legal process, our Commonwealth's attorneys in full support, and so that's the bill, Mr. Chairman.
Right, and it looks like about 198,000 the first, 326,000 the second year. You all covered it in the House budget.
Yeah, that's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I think we've been doing a lot of these over the last 5 years, creating new PD's offices. I think staff felt like this is probably a meritorious request, probably improve service to our residents. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody got a motion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to report the bill. All those in favor say aye. 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 Anybody opposed? No. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members.
Yep. Yeah, and good sight on the Dukes. You got three, Tony Wilt, you got three people wearing purple up here today, so. Let's see, we got Thomas, 1190. And then I got, again, Spencer, Price, McQuinn.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Before you is House Bill 1190. To be very, very brief, the problem is we got a lot of hardworking folks around the Commonwealth who would love to get into the contracting world. The only thing holding them back is a language barrier. So all this bill does is it requires the department to produce some of the testing material or the tests in other languages. We wanted to be very conscious about the cost, and so we amended the bill on the House side to get the cost down to $156,000 by doing that through two mechanisms. First mechanism is the languages that are selected are used through the Voting Rights Act. So currently the two languages that would meet that threshold are Spanish and Vietnamese. The other mechanism we chose in working with the department is that the translation would only occur for the previous year's top 50 most used contractor exams.
Okay, it's just a one-time cost of $156,000, ongoing cost that I think the DPOR thinks they can absorb. Costs are very minimal.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. DPOR told me that they expect it would increase the cost of tests between $1 to $3.
Okay. All right. Any other questions by anybody? Okay. It's been moved and seconded to report the bill. All those in favor say aye. 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 Anybody opposed? No. All right. See you, Doug.
Thank you.
Next, I got Spencer. No Doug and Spencer. All right. Then I got his cousins here yet? No. Okay. Then I got Price. He just got here, but her staff got her on the list ahead of everybody else. You got two?
Good morning.
Two?
Yes.
612 and 614.
Yes. House Bill 612 is identical to Senate Bill 654, and that extends from 90 days to 180 days the amount of time that formerly incarcerated people have to pay back their court fees and fines before collections start.
Okay, and this is similar to Senator Williams-Graves' bill, right?
Yes, identical.
I'm not sure staff thought it was identical. Staff, there's a little bit of a difference, right?
That's right, Mr. Chairman. Delegate Price, there was a provision added on our side that was also added to the companion bill for this that is not included in yours, but is included in the Senate version. It basically says that inmates who are receiving earnings, if they're in a local or state correctional facility, those earnings can still go down to pay down their court fines and costs, but everything is still deferred. And so that provision is not in the current version of the bill, but is in Williams-Graves' bill.
Well, not anymore because I think we conformed, but we can definitely do whatever needs to be done in order to get us in conference.
Yeah, I think the idea was to conform this to Williams-Graves' bill, and then they continue to have issues, they deal with that separately. Okay.
Mr. Chair, are we conforming as engrossed? As engrossed, they're similar, but then, so it just depends on which version of the bill you're conforming it to?
Gross versus what?
In gross versus what was already conformed in the house?
As it left this chamber.
As it left this chamber.
I don't know. Mine just says conform. Well, that's what our budget does, right? Yeah, that's what we need to do. Yeah,
Mr. Chairman,
yeah.
I would move to conform to the engrossed version.
It's been moved and seconded to conform to the engrossed version. It's left our chamber. All those in favor say aye. 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 Anybody opposed? No. Okay. The bill is now identical to what we've already put in our budget and passed.
Move to report.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to be reported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Nope. Nobody's opposed.
Okay. And then
Yeah,
House
it's
Bill 614. And so basically that would build on work that we had already done to allow for community service during incarceration. And Mr. Chair, I was incorrect. This is quite similar to a bill that both Boysko and I had worked on before. And so what it does is allow for work and community service done during incarceration to apply to paying down one's fees and fines. And it expands what we did before by including work, but it also further clarifies and defines what community service is.
Okay, and again, it's similar to Senator Boysko's bill, which passed 2218, right?
Yep.
I would move we conform to this.
I don't think it needs to be.
No,
conformed.
not this year, but a previous year
Right.
that had
Yeah,
a,
yeah, 2023 session, I'm sorry. Boysko was 23.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the committee comfortable with the bill? Okay. Has anybody got a motion?
Move to report.
It's been moved and seconded to report the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed say no. Okay, bill reports.
thank you. Have a good one.
All right, Cousins, you were third on the list, but you just got here. Yes. Come on up.
Good morning.
Morning. 824. So this is the one that says if we increase court-appointed attorney fee caps, you can only be assessed the existing cap, but not any future increase, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I know we had some concern that it was possible people could also be assessed the amount that attorneys seek via waivers. And if that was the case, this would have a really big impact. We checked with OES and found out that that's not really done.
Okay.
So the impact on this is actually relatively very small.
Great.
So have I explained your bill?
Yes, you have. So originally, as introduced, it would have eliminated court-appointed attorney fees for indigent clients or indigent defendants, but now that we are considering increasing compensation to court-appointed attorneys' fees, this bill has been amended to now cap those fees at what they would have been as of June 30th of this year.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? It's been moved and seconded. The bill be reported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? One no. Note, a no. All right. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you.
McQuinn, 285. Is she? Thought I saw her come in, didn't I? Nope. Okay. Ms. McQuinn. Bulova, 242.
Morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, Delegate.
All right, so this bill is a recommendation of the Public Body Procurement Work Group and is actually identical to Senator McPike's Senate Bill 242. So they both have the same number, which I think is kind of cool. What the bill does, it addresses the process by which a vendor may ask a public body for considering changes in terms and conditions during an RFP process. And so typically, when an agency sends out an RFP, they will ask if you have any changes to terms and conditions, and if you're selected or shortlisted, that's when you negotiate whether or not to accept those. There's been a trend where agencies are actually starting to score higher or lower based on even whether you're just asking for terms and conditions. And that's got two problems. It's a chilling effect just on asking for changes that actually could be beneficial to the public body, but it also can result in a situation where the best qualified vendor actually winds up losing to somebody who's less qualified. And so Public Body Procurement Work Group looked at this, said, yeah, you should be able to ask in advance, but you shouldn't be able to score.
Right, this already passed the Senate unanimously and has no impact, right?
Yes, sir.
Got it. All right, any other questions?
Second.
Let's move to second to report the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? No.
Marvelous. Thank you.
See you, Doug. Next, I've got Tran, who has 989, and then a very late addition that came out of Commerce and Labor last night. Is she here? Yeah? No. No Tran. And I got Leftwich, 680. After Leftwich, I got Hernandez, Beggins, and then no signups after that. So, I see you guys. Yeah. Got it. All right.
All right.
Leftwich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You
Members of
got,
the committee. House Bill
680.
680 simply requires the Department of Human Services to develop a policy to hire individuals with experience without regard to a post-secondary degree.
What? I know he's. Doug,
I didn't wear any purple
Doug
today.
Opinion's disappointed I didn't. I'm sorry, Senator Pillion didn't. Yeah, sorry, you're getting me all confused up here. I didn't commend you for your choice of undergraduate institution.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Go Dukes.
yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Doug Leftwich. I'm sorry.
That's all I was going to say. It requires the Department of Human Services to develop a policy and mechanism to eliminate post-secondary degrees in hiring considerations, to allow people with real-life experience who can do the job hold positions within the state government. So that's about it in a nutshell.
But I think this is part of a Youngkin administration initiative that he announced, about 6 months ago, I guess?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, I think the chair had some, not me, the Uber chair had some concerns about how this got rolled out, and how it might affect the quality of people that are working in our government.
So I have had some conversations with the department, and there is some discussion about striking some of the language at the end that does appear to be a little bit rigid. I'm happy to entertain movement on the bill as is or addressing that language.
Mr. Chair, based on the concerns of sort of the requirements in our workforce and the considerations, I'll move to PBI.
Second. Okay. Is there any further discussion about that? No.
Would the committee consider an amendment that would strike lines 150 through the end? Those are the ones I think that would cause most consternation about hiring practices.
Hold on a second. Lines what?
Lines 150 through the end of the bill, I believe, is 179. Yes. Those are the requirements that are extremely rigid. That 179, the end of the bill.
Sorry, what line?
150 through 179. That would give the department a little bit more flexibility in keeping the post-secondary requirements as opposed to eliminating it altogether in certain situations.
Why would you leave the remainder of this new code section?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the underlying section is codifying HR practices to the degree that you've spelled out specifics versus allowing the targeted development and recruitment based on the needs of the workforce. And so I'm still uncomfortable leaving very prescriptive elements, which is really, I think, the intent of this entire bill and code section. And so I'd still renew my motion to PBI.
Right, I mean, basically, this is an attempt to, not you, but the administration's trying to codify its executive order for perpetuity, right? Right, yeah.
I renew my second.
Okay, you're not on, okay. I'm not sensing a lot of good mojo.
I understand.
All right, all those in favor of the motion to PBI, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. Delegate Pillion notes his no.
Thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right. Thank you, Delegate. All right, next up, I've got Hernandez and Feggins. Hernandez, I think you have two, right?
I do have two, Mr. Chair. Go Dukes. HB 857, thought I'd start off right, is the cognate to Senator Angela Williams-Graves' SB 514, which shortens the statute of limitations for the collections of court debt.
Hold on a second.
It should be identical in form.
Yeah, hold on, I gotta get to the right place for my notes here. 857, identical Williams-Graves past 2218. Okay. I think we've already put this in our budget, too. It's been moved and seconded to report the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Nobody opposed.
Thank you so much. And then the next one is my HB 896, which is identical in form to Senator Bagby's SB 625. This is the bill that protects Social Security income from being garnished to pay off court debts where those Social Security benefits are the person's only income.
Passed the Senate 40-0.
Yes.
Yep.
Second.
Okay, move to second report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody
Mr.
opposed?
Chair, I will say, so Irene Shin, I know she has some bills before you. She is out sick today, so I'm happy to present
Yeah.
those if that would be helpful.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Her staff has been blowing up my staff.
Yes, I imagine
She's hoping
so.
she was gonna be better today.
Yes, okay. So the first bill, I think, is HB 1263. This is the bill that entirely abolishes fines and fees for juveniles, which, as we know, I think mostly get imposed on parents, and they're the ones that ultimately have to pay it. The fiscal impact on this was around $532,000 that was included in the House budget.
Okay, Senator Marsden has something he wants to say.
Yeah, thank you, Delegate Hernandez. I appreciate the intent here, but it takes a tool away from a juvenile court judge. If you're not going to put somebody on probation or do something more significant, a fine is very often appropriate. And a lot of times with kids who are not going to be career delinquents and what have you, they've made a mistake and what have you, the parent pays it, the kid works it off at home, mowing lawns, doing whatever. It just takes the tool off the table. And I just don't think that this is an appropriate measure to take. I've never seen judges abuse, in my experience at any rate, abuse the fines and fees and taking it beyond what a family could reasonably handle. And sometimes, kids have taken some time to work off the fine. And, but with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll have a motion when you're ready.
We already carried over Senator Aird's bill to 2025.
So I move to carry this bill over to 2025.
Okay, it's been moved to second. We carried the bill over. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay. We're carried over.
And then
yeah.
one more bill from Delegate Shin, Mr. Chair, that's HB 1264. So this bill simply makes it, gives judges more power to waive traffic fines for juveniles in the code right now.
Doesn't require it, though. It just gives them discretion.
Gives them
to do it,
discretion, right? Because right now, often they don't have that discretion. These are mandatory.
Well, it's really not the fines that are the issue. It's probably more the court cost than anything, because the fines, they already have discretion whether to set the fine from $0 to $250 on a traffic offense. It's the court cost I think we're probably really talking about.
Yeah. So it just gives them a little more power to waive them where it's appropriate, so they can look at other alternatives where it may make more sense.
Yeah.
But it doesn't require it, though.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Flexibility is a good thing, for judges to exercise. That's why we hire them, and I would have a motion.
What's your motion?
Motion to report.
Second.
All right. 1264, yeah. Okay, it's been moved to second. We report this bill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And one no.
All right. Thank you,
Please
Mr.
do
Chair,
not.
members of the committee.
Okay. Tell Delegate Shin to get better. Then I got Feggins. Tran's back. You want to defer to her? She's higher on the list than you, but she's late. Come on up, Delegate Tran. You got 989, and then you have a late edition of 1261, which came out of Commerce and Labor yesterday.
So
right?
1261 is a
You want to do that
cognate-
first?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is similar to a bill from
That we already
Delegate
passed, right?
Bagby. Yes.
Yeah. So 1261, this was actually, I think we heard this in our very first committee meeting this year, right? Continuation of benefits.
Move to report.
Second.
It's been moved, and seconded to report the bill. All those in favor say aye. Okay, why don't you explain it? I
Do you
tried
want me to
to-
explain it?
Yeah.
Sure. So this bill allows the VEC to provide waiver, it provides them with waiver authority for those individuals who received an overpayment by no fault of their own or meet other eligibility requirements.
Okay, previously moved, we need to conform it? Okay, wait a minute. So somebody withdraws their motion. McPike moves to conform, Marsden seconds. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Conforming? Okay. Okay, McPike moves, Marsden seconds. The report is conformed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pillions a no. Okay. And Delegate Tran, you got one more.
I believe you have also 989?
Yeah.
Okay. So 989 is a standalone House bill, and it requires the Department of Election to provide certain elections-related information on its website. Right now, there are actually no code requirements for the department to provide any information on its website about its role in upcoming elections. It also requires the department to translate certain information into languages that are covered by the Virginia Voting Rights Act. Several years ago, we had passed a bill, and then it was incorporated into the Voting Rights Act, requiring local governments to translate certain information if they meet specific language thresholds that mirror the federal thresholds. So this says at the state level, the Department of Elections will translate state related information and make sure that that's accurate before our elections. We found a couple of election cycles ago that the department was making really good efforts to translate, but some of the materials online were, partially translated and some were extremely old from years ago. So we want to make sure that the information we provide to our voters is accurate and timely.
Okay. So this,
Oh, can I add one more thing, sir? Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman. So the department currently, right now, voluntarily provides information on the website and also voluntarily translates certain information into Spanish, Vietnamese, and Korean. And we really appreciate that effort and want to make sure that we are able to continue that into future administrations.
Okay. All right. I think the department thought they could probably do this with existing resources. The department thought they could do this with existing resources. All the translation costs were indeterminate. Nowadays, you can just put something on your website, click a button, and it translates almost. But, right?
Yeah, and we also have efforts right now across the agencies to do better with our translation and materials on the website. So I think this dovetails with those efforts well.
Okay. Okay. It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Oh, okay, Delegate, you're done.
Thank you so much.
All right, and Feggins is the last on the list, and then we go to people I can see. Feggins, you got,
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members.
1361.
Yes, HB 1361, the Virginia Manufacturers Resident Preference. This prioritizes Virginia manufactured goods first and U.S. second for state procurement. This is the companion bill to SB 260 carried by Senator DeSteph. The Senate version of my bill left a general laws technology and struck the reenactment clause. That's the biggest difference I can see right now.
Bill's identical and passed the Senate 40-0. Right?
Yes, I believe so, Mr. Chairman. That the Senate version right now might have had some modifications yesterday. The hope is that my version and his version will go into conference. My version is the stronger one in terms. Excuse me. My version is the version that I prefer.
My notes say they're identical.
Okay. I would say they're identical. I just haven't seen. I've heard some chatter. Just hadn't seen if anything had changed. So I didn't want to say anything without confirming.
Okay. So moved and seconded to be reported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're all done. Good work. Okay. I see McQuinn has appeared. You're number 11 on the list. And you've got 285, yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I was down on the third floor at another committee meeting doing another bill.
Heard about that.
Hopefully, the success of this one would be more favorable and successful than the last one. Don't.
I don't know. You want the localities to manage our bus shelters, then allow the state to get sued for them, I think, right?
I don't think that's exactly what this bill does,
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, if you want to focus on it, I think the concern is that these bus shelters are on state property, but the bill would allow other governments to design and manage them, but the state would retain liability for any problems that happen with them. That was the concern. You could sort of focus on why we ought to assume that risk for this.
Okay, Mr. Chair, this bill 285 really was just looking at the streamline, the installation of bus stop amenities, benches and shelter and all. We put the money in last year through the TRIP program, but it has been, I guess because of the bureaucracy, it's gone through a lot of iterations in terms of trying to get bus stops and shelter and creating the kind of environment that people wouldn't mind going to catch the bus and to go to their various places or destinations. And so this bill just trying to look at how do we streamline the process. And Mr. Chair, there are individuals here who are here with the bus companies and others who could also speak more, about this particular issue.
Right.
But I don't.
So, Delegate, I guess this bill is sort of born by some frustration about how long it's taken to get some bus stops approved.
Is the bureaucracy, yes,
Right.
that people have had to deal with just to get benches put up in shelters, and that's what, absolutely.
But the idea is to avoid inspections under the Uniform Building Code.
Well, I don't know about avoiding inspection. It still would have to be a certain standard that the buses, that these shelters and all would have to be, erected, and the necessities that would be placed there. There's still a standard that will be used, a qualitative standard, and regulation and rules that will be used. It would just not have to go through all of the changes that they've had to go through in the past, just trying to, again, put bus stops in place and shelters in place and benches and all of those things.
I think our procurement government buildings expert over here on my right had a question.
Well, so I guess that's probably why we have multiple stops sometimes through the process, and we certainly didn't pick it up in general laws. But I think what the issue is we do have sovereign immunity. However, when we're bypassing the known process to pick up life safety hazards and issues, we create a cause of action and waive our sovereign immunity is what I'm sort of understanding, and that I think is what the question is before the committee is we are opening ourselves up of an injury or something else happening. It's my hope that hopefully whoever is the local person issuing building permits can go through a standardization and speed up the local process versus creating, I think, an open window of issue. Someone injures themselves, a smart attorney like the chairman of the subcommittee identifies that no building permit was pulled and was waived, and therefore creates a cause of action against the Commonwealth. I think that's what the underlying issue could be.
Mr. Chair, Joe Dillard is here. Can I get him to speak to that particular issue? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Senator McPike, how you guys doing? Joe Dillard with GRTC. I can speak on behalf of VTA to address your concerns. I think already DGS has given that authority to localities. So transit agencies right now can't go free for all and create these bus shelters without the locality's approval. Right now, the process, or what the Delegate McQuinn has already pointed out, is the process that it sits within DGS is taking too long. There are no checkpoints or oversight that will be undercut by this bill. We're just hoping that the process will be streamlined. Local governments are already doing the streamlining themselves. That's why we believe DJS is handing off some of it to localities. So we're just hoping that this will bring everyone online, including Northern Virginia. I think PRTC, GRTC, this hits all of our transit companies, where the TRIP funding that she is referring to will impact agencies being able to put up shelters. Case in point, we just got one done in Chesterfield that took 20 months. We've had the money, but it took us 20 months to get a bus shelter, one shelter up in Chesterfield. So this will hopefully streamline that, and we're hopeful that it doesn't hold the state liable.
And Mr. Chair, and I'd like to say, when we did the TRIP program last year, or put the money in a couple of years ago, the number of individuals who came before us and talked about when they are going to bus stops, whether it with no lighting, bus stops that, often didn't have, they're in the rain. I mean, and so this was the reason for pushing this forward, not this particular bill, but the TRIP program, and then to have, be hindered, or the barriers that exist now, keeping the funding from coming down. It's again, we're back at, back at the same place, and that is those who are riding the bus having opportunity to have an environment that they can get off and get on the bus that certainly, would be fitting for all of us actually.
Mr. Chair,
Senator McPike.
I appreciate Mr. Dillard's comments on it. And actually, 20 years, my very first building permit I ever pulled was for a bus shelter, by happenstance, by the way. And so, but I think certainly DGS does transfer localities. However, localities still have a building official that still goes through the process. And so what this does is essentially bypassing and waiving that building code process. And I think that's still the underlying concern of what the impacts are on state property where we do have this condition. And I understand that it's the net impact of what you want to do. And hopefully there's some other ways to maybe tackle what you want to get at, which I completely understand.
Yeah.
So I'm
right, like by putting like expedited permitting,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Exactly.
Instead of skipping permit reviews.
It's not about skipping. It's about how do you speed up that process without creating liability for the Commonwealth. And I think that's the underlying issue.
So, Senator, Mr. Chair, Senator, are you talking about the part in the bill that talks about removing the requirement that bus shelter under 256 square feet undergo any type of review? Is that, because that's the only part that, that is given consideration to?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, it just says it's exempting from review and inspection pursuant to the Uniform Building Code. And I think that's
Where is that?
line 70 through 71, which is essentially the heart of the bill, right?
Okay. And it's certainly my understanding that these will go through, and Danny's on, I think he's virtual, but said that it will go through the full process and are looked upon, I guess, by licensed engineer. So there will still be a process that these folks, these bus shelters, the establishing of them would go through. So these stops field go through the full VDOT process and are approved by licensed engineers.
So, Senator, I don't see any way to fix the exemption problem without deleting this last unstruck language from the bill, and then unstriking what was there before, which somebody I guess struck through during the process.
The building code officials, Mr. Chair, the building code officials to find peace in the valley, they
made it our problem instead of their problem.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm not sure we can, Mr. Chair, I'm not sure we can, I understand where there's a transfer of problem that's occurring here. Right. You want to expedite a permit process, which we get. I'm not sure how to fix that this morning and get there, and I'm completely sympathetic to what you're trying to do.
Okay.
Love to try to figure this out. It's not sure how to do that this morning, and
Figured out over a year.
yeah, if we could, I think, carry it over.
Yeah.
And move to carry it over to next year and figure this out on a way to connect. I know the delegates are trying to do the yeoman's work and trying to connect the dots here, and I think it's a good idea. And I'd love to work with you on maybe how to get there.
Okay, and that would, and thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator. I just, again, I when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at people who are living, in communities, and when they go to the bus stop, that those bus stops are not suitable sometimes.
Doug, I have the highest bus population in all of Northern Virginia, riding up and down the US 1 corridor, and I feel your pain.
Yeah.
And we've been doing a lot of retroactive retrofits or whatever on these things to make the bus stops a little more user-friendly, so.
I know, it's a sad commentary on all of us, and it's not just in Northern Virginia or in this region, but
Okay.
even some of the other places, they're dealing with the same thing.
Okay.
Thank you,
So
Mr.
I think Senator McPike moves and Marsden seconds, they'll be carried over to 2025, and that we,
Okay,
okay?
all right,
Okay,
thank
so-
you.
Wait,
Thank you.
wait. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay, now.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Chair. You killed me slowly just now.
Sorry. Sorry, I want to give you a full hearing. All right, next up, I got Hope, who's got two.
Chairman, 310 is identical to the deeds bill that he had for
It's already been
maximum
conformed,
judges.
right?
That's right.
The great judge fight of the Shenandoah Valley.
That's what it's being billed as.
Yeah, okay. Sure, we're going to be seeing something from the governor on this. But it's. Oh, yeah, you misnamed my committee.
Let's make that
I don't know.
amendment. Let's make that amendment immediately,
I don't know.
immediately.
Move we make that
I
amendment.
don't know. That, you want to, I think a motion be,
PBI.
Oh,
okay. Okay, I think the penalty for misnaming is greater than that. Okay.
Why don't you add a judge to Arlington?
McPike moves, Marsden seconds, the sub, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? No, okay. Now we have a bill that's identical to the one we already passed in front of us. Been moved and seconded that we report the bill, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? No.
I really
Okay,
thought that's what the substitute did, Mr. Chair. I apologize. It should have done that.
so good.
Okay, the next bill I have.
787.
787. I really thought this was already the law. It just clarifies in statute that if you get denied TANF, Medicaid, or SNAP benefits, that there is a review, an appeal, automatic appeal. The FIS was I kind of scratched my head on. DSS says there's no fiscal impact. DMAS says there's no fiscal impact. The Office of Attorney General said that there was. I know that Chair Sickles of HHS sent a note to Jay Lark to get a response to see what was behind that. I don't know the response to that other than that it came out of appropriations in the House.
Yeah, Doug, what we got is that OAG says that they don't do these right now, and they're going to have to hire at least 2 lawyers and a secretary in order to meet all the appeals that are likely to come as people start appealing denials of TANF, Medicaid, SNAP, et cetera, et cetera. I guess there's a couple other different,
So there
benefits that could get appealed, I guess.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, it sounds like their expectation is that people will be appealing something that we already thought was part of the law. And that's
But people aren't apparently not appealing right now, I think, is what the sense we got from staff. I think the staff and the chair thought that a year might help to bring us clarity on exactly what the solution to this is, or the cost. So.
Move to carry over and get a stakeholder group together.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We carry it over to 2025 with the subcommittee to work with stakeholders, including legal professionals, to evaluate policy options here.
Meantime, people won't be able to appeal if they get denied.
Well, I don't know. I mean, sort of. According to you, they could try to appeal, or they thought they could appeal, but somebody thinks they can, some people think they can't. Somebody behind you is trying to talk, I think. Yeah.
Hi, Emily Hardy with the Virginia Poverty Law Center. People can currently appeal. So that is the original language in B allows appeals of case decisions. What this does is addresses the judge's discretion when reviewing the case. So this will not change who can appeal. Everyone who gets a decision can currently appeal. And we did have a work group with DMAS, BDSS, and the Attorney General over the past year to work on this, because there was a similar bill last year.
So under the APA, though, the standard's pretty high in terms of getting a reversal, though, right? The existing.
So
standard.
current law is confusing, which is why we brought this bill. There are appellate cases that do a de novo review already. They've just had to sort of walk their way around it, and this is just clarifying that they get the same standard review that every other case gets.
So you're trying to take it from reviewing it on the record to a de novo?
It would be a de novo on the record. It wouldn't be a full hearing. And that's in 4027.
Right. Okay. So I think the concern with that would be that there'd be a lot more appeals if you have a much better shot at winning on appeal because it's de novo versus on the record, right?
So, as I said, currently the appellate court has reviewed de novo. So we are just trying to clarify that that should be the standard for every court because that is how the appellate court has treated these cases, which is why DMAS and DSS say it's not a change in the law.
Okay, but I think what you said is that some people think it's de novo and some think it's not.
The language is confusing, but the courts have ruled that it's de novo. That would be our assessment of the issue, as well as the FIS assessment. And I think our understanding from the Attorney General's FIS is they think maybe people would see a change in the law and think they could appeal more, maybe, but everybody still has the current right to appeal, and there's no change in who could file an appeal, just clarity on what the court should be reviewing.
Okay. All right. Well, the notes we got said that DMAS and DSS believe it's unclear what degree the bill could expand the appeal right of individuals under the various benefit programs that are impacted. And that's, I think, why they wanted more time to talk about it. I think that was the idea. That's what we got back from DMAS and DSS.
Yeah, it's news to me.
And I think that there was already a motion, right? Yeah, okay.
Carry over stakeholder.
Okay, carry over the stakeholder thing. Okay, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
All right, thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, see you, delegate. All right. Delegate Spencer ever show up? Nope. Okay. So I think, from my memory, Siebold, Levere, Bowling, you, and then Delaney, I think, in that order? Okay. Siebold, are you for or against child labor?
I'm very much against child labor. Mr. Chair, HB 100 increases the civil penalty for child labor violations that results in the employment and subsequent injury or death of a child in the course of that employment from $10,000 to $25,000 and increases the maximum for any other violation from $1,000 to $2,500. This hasn't been updated in Virginia in over 30 years, and right now child labor cases have tripled immensely in Virginia in just the past 2 years. Throughout the country, we're seeing an uptick. It's been the highest amount of child labor violations since the 1930s. So this bill is really important that we penalize companies who are exploiting children.
It's a $100,000 fiscal impact, and that was included in the House budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are we pro or against child labor?
I would move a report.
Okay. Senator Evan does not like child labor. Okay. It's been moved and seconded to report the bill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay, you're out of here.
Thank you. Thank
Levere
you, members.
Bowling, you got 938, which I believe was identical to another Bagby bill.
It is SB 542, which is amending the Virginia Unemployment Compensation Act.
Has to do with lockouts.
Exactly.
Right. I think when we looked at this, our very first meeting of the year, we thought that lockouts barely ever happened, so the fiscal impact was likely to be pretty minor.
Correct.
And this is identical past the Senate 2119.
Correct.
Been moved and seconded to report the bill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Billions and no. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Delaney. Delaney,
Mr. Chairman.
you've got multi-district grand jury elder abuse.
Yes, Mr. Chair, HB 769. This bill allows the crimes of financial exploitation and abuse and neglect of vulnerable adults to be investigated by multi-jurisdictional grand juries. This bill was a product of the Virginia Criminal Justice Conference. What they found is that some jurisdictions across Virginia, particularly rural jurisdictions, are experiencing difficulties with their grand juries investigating instances of financial exploitation and abuse and neglect of vulnerable adults. These grand juries meet only 4 times a year, and the victims of witnesses to these crimes are often incapacitated, and it's challenging to have them appear and testify multiple times, especially when time is of the essence. So this bill is brought to help solve that problem.
All right. No fiscal or indeterminate minimal impact, I think is what it was. This basically just allows existing grand juries to pick up another crime if they want. multi-district interest. Any discussion? Sounds like McPike does not like elder abuse. Okay, it's been moved to second to report the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, you're done.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, committee.
Okay. Are we out of people now? Okay, well, we still have Delegate Hayes, Delegate Ware, and Delegate Krizik. Two of the three hard ones. Two of the three are hard ones. Let's do, let's see. Mike, Ware was one we already did, right?
Yeah, HB 14.
There was a Senate version? Okay, we take up House Bill 14 by Delegate Ware. Senator McPike moves to conform it to the Senate Bill.
Second, Senate Bill 381, Senator Eben.
381, Evan. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay. So the bill is conformed as before us. It's been moved and seconded. We report the bill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay, so that leaves us with Krizik and Hayes. What do you want to do? What do we usually do here, staff? We usually try and track them down, and we take them up while they're not here.
Send a text to Delegate Friesen.
You text them?
Yeah. I will text it.
See if Hayes is. There was some concern about Hayes also.
Mr. Chairman?
All right, Senator Morris.
Move to carry over and
Let's go
refer.
on. Wait. We'll go to House Bill 1273 by Delegate Krizik, which is as to procurement. And it was similar to Senate Bill 647 by Delegate Carol Foy, which we carried over to 2025 with a letter to the Public Body Procurement Work Group.
So moved.
So you want to treat it similarly? Okay.
I think this one has a lower percentage of labor hours to be performed by apprenticeship, but it is similar.
Right. I think the chair looked at it and thought it ought to be treated similarly too. Yeah. I haven't talked to Delegate Krizik about it though. Okay. Any further discussion? No. Okay. It's been moved to second. We carry it over. So we have to get this done. We have finance at 9 a.m. and then we have 9:30. And I'm not sure we have another time for another subcommittee meeting, at least on the current schedule. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed?
Delegate Hayes is on his way up there.
All right. didn't reply to me. Sure, he makes it, yeah. He makes it. It's $11.99. All rise.
Timing right?
Yep.
All right. My apologies.
Tried to make you a judge there, but
My apologies, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
hey, you're our last bill, so.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, this bill simply gives the authority to the Joint Commission on Technology and Science to hire, appoint, and remove staff. We all know the time in which we're in now, where technology and the proliferation thereof presents itself in many ways to us, and we want to, in a more robust and thorough way, investigate, research technology issues, and make good recommendations to help support good policy here in the Commonwealth. There is a budget amendment to associate with the bill.
Right.
It passed in our budget as well.
Still, let me try and focus you on, I think, some of the concerns that we've heard about it. Right now, the only commissions that currently have full-time permanent staff are the Joint Healthcare Commission, the Behavioral Health Commission, Crime Commission, and I think the CEUR. Those are the only commissions, legislative commissions.
Commission on Youth.
Oh, Commission on Youth has permanent staff? Okay, Commission on Youth. Okay, then we have another, whatever, a dozen or two commissions that don't have permanent staff, that DLS staffs them. And at least I know with the CEUR, we've had job ads out there for 6 months now, trying to hire somebody at 130, 140, no bites. It seems like the salaries are really starting to compress between these commission staff and then DLS and then our money committee staffs. And there's concern that we maybe need to look at the overall sort of staffing and salary structure before we keep creating more paid DLS positions that compete with each other.
Can I speak to it a little bit?
Yeah, and we thought we maybe ought to study that over the next year before we authorize 3 new positions to compete with all the others. What do you think about that?
Well, as one who works in this space, I can guarantee you we'll be able to fill these positions. There are enough folks, I think, that from a technology standpoint, fill these roles and provide the specific type of technology expertise and policy recommendations that we need here in the Commonwealth. I think each year that we go by without this kind of technical expertise, we actually are doing a disservice to the Commonwealth because we're getting bills that the legislators are not familiar with from a technical standpoint, and they're just sailing right through. They're just passing, and it's putting us in a posture that's tremendously disadvantaged, I think.
Right, that's exactly why we beefed up the CEUR, was exactly what you're talking about, is there's a lot of really big bills, a lot of money, a lot of stuff at stake that we need some professional policy staff help to be able to guide us through the process, 100%. And it feels like we're moving more and more towards a sort of a full-time professional legislature as we do this kind of stuff. And anyway, that's some of the things we were talking about, trying to figure out what to do with this one.
Mr. Chair, I think there's, we sent a lot of different AI, lots of other technology space to JCOTS this year. And this space is probably one of the largest growing areas of building necessary in-depth expertise to help guide us. And so while I think there are some questions that are, I think, good ones to look at in terms of pay compression and other issues. I mean, our DLS staff work, finance and perp staff, all of them. We do need to figure out I think the right balance, but I do think this is probably something that is necessary for JCOTS at this time, and would move to report.
Second.
Any other discussion? Marsden, you're leaning towards your mic button, no? Okay.
Well,
Yeah, turn.
We've had some, complicated things like the Data Privacy Act and things like that could probably use the kind of staff review that you and I experienced in taking that bill through. I was just curious. It says that there's already
we would have had a private right of action.
Huh? Private rights of action are we get the
We
big
only
action.
had staff to help convince you.
But is there already money in the budget? It says it's in the Appropriations Act.
There's money in the House budget.
In the House, in the House budget.
Yes.
And okay, I think this is something too that we can work out in the budget conference and have more time to discuss. So.
Well, JCOTS actually has an existing appropriation of $267,000.
They're just moving it.
Well, I think with the House is supplementing
Okay.
to do more.
Okay. All right, any further discussion?
No.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we recommend the bill for reporting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Put me down as an abstain, just so we can flag it in case the chair needs to pay attention. Okay, so you're gonna be in full at 9:30, right? No, you doesn't have to be there, but the bill will be in full at 9:30.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Yep.
Chair, members of the committee.
All right, thank you, Doggett. All right, I think that concludes our docket. Committee will rise.
The Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.